Materials designed for face-to-face environments. Establish theoretical foundation for designing teaching materials by Eric Arroyo de la Hoz, student for UNAT University. What should ELT materials have? We can say the materials are that devices, elements designed and manufactured with special characteristics to make the teaching and learning process easier, resources and tools that assist and make the teaching and learning process effective. The implication of these procedures is that they are used especially in the educational fields with the objectives that students learn concepts, ability, dexterity, among others. Always and independently of the type of material, they take care of supporting the context of some subject. The fact that allows the student to form an criterion on what was learned, and in addition, they help in the exposition of the subjects. According to Tollinson, materials are inclusive of anything which can be used to facilitate the teaching and learning of a language. They can be linguistic, visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, and they can be presented in print through live performance or display or on a cassette, CD-ROM, DVD, or Internet. They can be instructional, experimental, or exploratory while informing learners about the language, providing experience of the language in use, simulating language use, or helping learners to make discovery about the language for themselves. It is necessary to mention here that the materials must have some degree of authenticity in order to be fully valid. They must also promote independent learning by students, making it easier for them to learn. Are aware of the learning process. To do this, it would be advisable to add sheets to be delivered at the beginning of each teaching unit, and then the students would find the different items they are going to learn during the unit, and at the end of each class they will be able to fill it with what they have learned, reflected as follows about their own learning in an autonomous way. The role of the materials within the education system will reflect the needs of the community, decisions that have to do with the main objective of the material, the form of the materials, the relationship of the materials to other type of material, of result, and the teacher's skills. Following with J.C. Richards and T.S. Rogers, it should be noted that a design for an educational system must involve assets of role of children and their families, the material as support for the didactic programming and for the teachers and students, for example, the role of this material within a methodology, functional, communicative, would be specific in the following terms. First, the materials will facilitate communicative interpreting skills, expression, and negotiation. 2. Materials will focus on intelligible and relevant communication rather than on in grammatical forms. 3. The material will pursue the interests of the students. 4. The materials will include different types of text and different media that the participant will be able to use, develop their competence through a great deal of variety of activities and tasks. Proposal for principled approach the development of ELT materials. Based on Tomlinson's 4 decades experience of teaching English, he offered his proposed principle for ELT materials. 1. A prerequisite for language acquisition is that learners are exposed to a rich, meaningful, and comprehensible input of language use. A plentiful of spoken and written text providing language use age from a variety of text types and genres relating to different topics, things, events, location, targeted to learners. 2. To maximize learner exposure to language in use, they need to be engaged both effectively and cognitively in the language experience. Thinking while experiencing language helps deeper processing for effective durable learning plus higher level skill, e.g. predicting, connecting, interpreting, and evaluating second language use. 3. Learners who achieve positive effects are much more likely to achieve communicative competence than those who don't. Text and text must be interesting, relevant, and enjoyable. 4. Learners using material resources typically that are also utilized when acquiring first language help learners reflect on their mental activity during a task, and they make use of mental strategies in similar tasks. 5. Learners can be benefit from noticing salient features of input, apprehend before comprehend, and intuit before explore, using an experiential approach where a student is engaged holistically and they learn implicitly. Later, they revisit and reflect, paying conscientious attention to features in order to explicitly learn. 6. Learner needs opportunities to use language to try to achieve communicative purpose. Learners produce language in order to achieve intended outcomes. Material should engage students, encourage learning to apply their developing skills to the world beyond the classroom, be perceived by learners as relevant, as useful, provides opportunity to use the target language to achieve communicative purpose, take a balance of approaches in the way things are covered, inductive, deductive, and affective approaches to grammar, fluency, and accuracy work. Principles of materials development. There are many other aspects and questions that we must ask ourselves when designing materials, or we limit ourselves to selecting and adapting those that already exist. We can number some these aspects. 1. The objectives and content of curricular material. Proposed instructional objective: what is offered to learners and what is omitted. Two aspects. The second aspect, tasks they propose for learning sequence of work. They establish types of tasks. They suggest variety, clarity, appropriateness. The third aspect, requirement of the material for the teacher to carry them out, identification of the teacher with the proposed line of work, degree of professional competence required by the task. 4. Variety of resource and didactic materials, adaptation of the materials to the needs and interests and expectations of students. 5. Adequacy of the material for learning English at a desired level, sequence, structure, and continuity. 6. And final aspect, adequacy of materials to generate the desired learning process, autonomous learning, learning by discovery, construction of learning, content-based learning, cooperative learning.